we made it. Just checking a few things on our stream and then we can get started. So, hope we are all doing well. Good morning. Thank you for joining us, whether it's live or on our replay later on. Today, we're going a little bit off the rails. Usually I'm clicking around in Class Manager, but today I've put together just a little bit of a death by PowerPoint. It's not going to be too long and intensive though. So today we're talking about revenue boosting tips. If you have been in business for a long time, some of this may be second nature to you and you may already know a lot of what I'm about to say. Sometimes though, people do need to hear, I know this is true for me, people do need to hear the advice maybe 13 to 20 times before we finally go, actually, you know what, I might give that a go. So if that's you, I hope that this video today will help tip you over the edge into taking some action. And if you are completely new or very newish into running a business, then I hope these tips are helpful and some of them are implementable for you. But without further ado, let's just quickly get into it. Now, I'm not going to read everything word for word because that would be actual death by PowerPoint. But something that I do want to just say out loud, and I'm going to read it word for word, is many of us, my former self included, fail to realise our value and charge our worth or what we're worth. And if my sister is catching this, I know she's going to be like slapping her phone to try and get to me because I was probably one of the last people on the planet to realise that. My background before getting fully sucked into the world of dance and dance studio technology was I was a personal trainer and I would be giving away sessions. One, because I would just be thinking to myself, oh, these people are paying quite a lot for the gym membership anyway. Oh, you know, she's getting married or he's got this event coming up. And I would just be like, yeah, just come out, we'll do a few sessions, it's fine. And then when I grew up and realised you can't pay bills with kind gestures to people for free. So it's been a long, painful journey for me, myself, to realise what I actually have to charge for the things that I can do, my services and so on. So hopefully hearing a little bit of that will help edge you closer to realising it for yourself if you are one of those people who haven't already. And later on, we are going to have an uncomfortable discussion about your prices, but I'll save that for later. So what we're going to talk about today is some of the opportunities that we have to make more sales in our business and the importance of cross promoting and upselling. I also just want to take a second to say sales and selling to someone like me, they sound like such dirty words. It's taken a long time, a lot of learning for me to realise that actually sales and selling, they aren't bad things. It's something that we all need to come to terms with if we're running a business, especially when it's a service-based business and we're working with children, because children usually aren't the bill payer, so hope not anyway. So we are very much focused on the service that we deliver and the progress that they're seeing through. And then the fact that we actually run a business and have customers tends to fall by the wayside, and we end up in this mindset of, well, as long as I can pay for the minimum, as long as my bills are covered, I'm fine. And really, for what you are doing, and whether it's gymnastics or dance or taekwondo or boxing or tennis or any of the products and services that Class Manager can cater to, more often than not, you're going to deserve more than just covering the basics. So, like I said, it took me a long time to get over it, but sales and selling, not bad things and not dirty words. We're also going to cover a little bit of how to raise money in other aspects for your company and why it's okay to do so. Want to talk about making the word free special again, because it absolutely isn't right now. And understanding, this again was a hard one for me. Time is money, but then more time is more money and more money is more time. And those things feed into each other, or they can feed into each other if you get things set up correctly. And then as the end, as we promised, your pricing structure. And there is something that I really want to talk about, which is if you are not yet charging monthly, if you are doing termly or half termly billing, there is an opportunity here for you. So either skip ahead on the replay or watch the whole thing, but make sure if you are doing termly or half-termly billing that you please listen to this bit at the end, because for us it was a great little opportunity, and so far absolutely no downsides to taking advantage from it. So, opportunities to make sales. First and foremost, uniform. And I've put duh in there because you're probably thinking, come on, Rob, give us something a bit more than, oh yeah, sell uniform. But we quite often will be soft with uniform because we've just had a new customer walk in the door. We're grateful that we've got a new customer and we don't want to scare them off with extra charges and extra costs straight away. That's old Rob. That's how I used to think about it. And now I still do have that. I do have that respect underneath for the fact that, it is an investment joining a hobby. However, if a person has some uniform, we can look at it a different way, because old thinking says if I hit them with a uniform charge, they're going to run away and they're not going to come back. But then new thinking says if they've invested in uniform, they're more likely to stay and will continue coming back because they've had a bit more skin in the game. They've got that sunk cost. But also it's a really important part of feeling like part of your team. If you have a uniform, a kit bag, then all of a sudden this new customer has a routine at home that's funneling them towards your business. It's not just, oh, get your coat, we're going to gym or we're going to dance or we're going wherever. They've actually got something that they need to take care of and look after and treat well, hopefully. Don't leave it stuffed on the back of a radiator. And it's just something at home that anchors them to the fact that they are now one of your customers. They've joined your team, your family, and it's a way for them to be a bit more invested, a bit more involved, and a bit more committed. But then on the flip side, when we are in the hall, in the studio, in whichever area or venue you use, then that young person is going to feel part of the team as well. You don't want to be the kid who's got 18 compadres in the room and they've all got this lovely uniform on and you're there in shorts and t-shirt feeling a bit out of place and a bit of a scruff. So uniform, get it in, as sell it as softly as you like to, but sell it as quickly as you can and don't let it drag on. It's a real good opportunity just to increase that retention, but also there should be a markup on uniform. I'm going to take a bit of a break here actually on uniform. So also, if you are already selling uniform, this is your monthly reminder to check your wholesale prices, because quite often suppliers will tweak their prices up without mentioning it. And before you know it, you're actually selling things at a loss. A few months ago, we did a review of all of the items that we sell, and we were quite shocked that we did actually have a few items that were going out at a cost to the customer that was less than we were buying them for. So absolutely keep on top of that, whether it's through just spot checks or a spreadsheet, and every now and again just go through item by item. But yeah, really worth making sure that you're not leaking profit on that front. Then merchandise. So merch is, again, it's kind of boring. We've really boringified merch to, oh, it's a water bottle, it's a bag, it's a zip hoodie, it's a onesie, it's a pair of sliders. And those things are great because they serve a function. There's nothing better than having a school full of children who are all equipped with onesies and sliders, because in between routines, backstage at the show, life is just so much easier when people aren't trying to get in and out of awkward items of clothing, just something that serves a real easy function. But when we think about merch, we quite often undervalue the fashion side of it. And I don't mean fashion like runway, I mean fashion as in things that you would happily wear around the house or out and about. Now, wherever you get your merch from, they probably will have access to a big wholesale library of slightly more expensive, probably, but equally more fashionable items that could be sold as part of a uniform that's not uniform that you wear in the actual classes. It's uniform that they wear out and about because it looks nice, it feels nice, and they're proud to represent your brand, and it's not too garish. So we've got some really nice jackets that we don't allow to wear in the studio. They are outdoor wear, and they are definitely more of a fashion item. Similarly, there are places that can provide like matching loungewear sets that make amazing Christmas presents, so you can definitely stick them on your class manager store and make those kind of sales through there. And you will see, well, you probably shouldn't be seeing your customers on Facebook, because we like to have that professional boundary, but you will probably be seeing pictures surface of people unwrapping your uniform merchandise fashion items and wearing it all Christmas Day, and then for weeks on afterwards as they're going around town to the cinema, into the shops, and they're just repping your brand constantly, which is a little advertisement, providing that they are behaving themselves when they're out and about. We always tell our kids, if you're wearing our stuff, you behave. So make sure you have those conversations too. But merchandise, absolutely think outside the box and try to procure some fashion items, especially ones that maybe have a limited edition. You know, we've got a month that we can get hold of these really fancy X, Y, and Zs. After that, they're gone. And we'll be surprised how many people will be saying, shut up and take my money, because they absolutely love this kind of stuff. Then a bit smaller, refreshments and snacks, whether that is at the place where you are delivering classes and services, or at an event that you may be going to. Absolutely always worth a Costco run. Get the big crates of drinks, refreshments, snacks, whatever it is, and a lot of these things will have a recommended retail price printed on them if they are designed to be resold. And more often than not, you could make a couple of £100 or dollars or euros, wherever you are, extra by having a volunteer or a team member man a little desk or a table with some refreshments on, whether that is for the public that are coming to watch your event, or it's for the helpers and the students at whatever it is that they are doing. Absolutely look for opportunities to sell refreshments and snacks, because if you aren't selling them, they'll be buying them from somewhere else. Whenever our little stock fridge is empty, then students just go up the road to the convenience store and they buy much more unhealthy choices than what we provide. So you can even do them a bit of a favour by having something that's close and convenient and maybe a more healthy option than what is available around there. Then tickets. So a lot of us will do shows and performances, and obviously we did the Facebook Live last week on Stage Stubs, which is super simple and easy to use, very, very straightforward when it comes to ways of selling tickets. But what sometimes we forget is that it's okay to do more performance opportunities. It's okay to do more than just your big show once a year or once every other year. And it's okay to sell tickets for those things. So it was last June we would go to a competition that's hosted by some local studio owners of ours we're good friends with, and I spotted 4 grandparents of one of our little students. 4 grandparents go in and pay their £6 on the door to go and watch this child do a 2-minute dance solo. And I look at that and think, that's a whole different part of our audience, because we very much focus on the mums and dads, or the parents and guardians who care for and pay directly for our students and their activities. And it's quite often that we'll kind of go, oh, I don't want to laden any more cost onto them because they're already buying costumes, they're already doing this, we're doing that. But who can your customers connect you with who don't spend any money in your business but would be quite happy to? And when I saw 2 grandparents from each side of the family pay their collective £24 to go and watch a 2-minute performance, it kind of makes you think, I wonder if we could do some more performance opportunities of our own that don't require all of that huge time, energy and cost investment of the big show that we do. Do you have some ready-to-go routines? Could you put a few chairs up in your studio? Could you hire a smaller, cheaper, more intimate venue and have a smaller number of ticket sales, but maybe do shorter and more repetitions of a show? I know it works myself, and absolutely, if this is something you haven't considered doing before, definitely sit down and see how you could plan it together. And I know we're leaning more into dance right now, but if you have a competition team, then they've got routines ready to go. And aunts, uncles, friends, grandparents might never get to see those actual performances, because it's not often that solos, duets and trios will go into the big show, but they would like to see it just as much, and the student has put just as much time, effort and energy into it. So sometimes it's really nice to see an event that's not a competition, it's not got that competitive atmosphere, it's all family and friends, but we do actually have some solos, duets and trios in there as well. So I'm going to leave that one there, but big opportunity to do more frequent, smaller events to raise money and ultimately sell tickets. Then, off the back of anything that you are selling tickets to, if you can have a company that will record the actual performance, or even just take photos before, during or after, there's also an opportunity there to sell those things. Now, I know usually there's a very small markup. I know for myself personally, our USB and DVD sales, they come through to us quite expensive, because the actual recording of the day is free. That's how the company cover their cost. They just charge a lot for DVDs and USBs, so there's not a lot of profit on that for us. But photos, absolutely. If you don't have a photographer that your school or academy is connected with, someone that you trust and you know that they're reputable, there's definitely opportunities there, and especially around times like now, like Christmas, where we could do themed photo shoots. They make amazing gifts for grandparents. If you've got your baby classes and you can offer to them, let's come into the studio, we've got a backdrop, we've got some props we brought some teddies, some Santa dolls, a reindeer, whatever they want to bring with them, and just create some amazing photos. They will totally sell as family gifts and grandparent gifts. And obviously with that, the photographer needs to have an agreement with you where there is some sort of profit share, because you're connecting that photographer with a captive audience and a ready to go opportunity. So that's great there. And then private lessons and studio hire. I think private lessons and one-to-one training is pretty standard. That's not going to shock anybody as being new advice, but absolutely make sure that you're offering private lessons if you've got time that you are wanting to be working, or if you've got teachers who want more time and more hours. Just remember, if you are connecting other teachers with the work, there needs to be a cut in there for you as the person that is either providing the venue or connecting the teacher with your customer base, because without you and that connection, then that teacher wouldn't have those private lesson hours, because ultimately it's your business, your captive audience, you've created that community and they're benefiting from that. So make sure there is something in it for you. And then lastly is studio hire. Something we haven't done for as long as we've had a studio. We've had a studio for 14 years, and we only started doing studio hire about 5 or 6 ago, so really kicking ourselves at the lost opportunity for revenue there. But your students will be using hired spaces to practice, again more leaning into the competitive side of things. If they have solos, duets, trios, they want to get together in a space and practice in their own time. And if they're not doing that, definitely encourage it. But find out, is there demand? Is there a way, if you have your own premises or if you have somewhere that you have exclusive use of, could there be a hire agreement, a key safe? Is there a ring doorbell so we know that everything that's happening there is safe and by the books? And then is there an opportunity for you to make money while you're at home doing something else on a Sunday? Because if they're not hiring your venue, they're probably going to be hiring somewhere else. So we may as well get you in on that and get your business benefiting from that revenue. Now, I've lost a bit of my word, but it's okay there. So the importance of upselling is our next point. And I know that we talked about earlier selling not being a dirty word. When we think about upselling, we often think about when you go to, I had a new windscreen recently because a little stone flicked up and cracked the whole thing. Great. But the whole time, do you want new wipers with that? Do you want the rain repellent? Do you want a new lemon car smell on the inside of it? And the whole while I was saying no, because I didn't want those things. But there are sometimes opportunities for us to upsell what people do actually want, and they maybe don't realise that that's even a thing that's there that they can do. So, for example, complementing classes. it's quite easy for us, again, when the new student comes in or the existing student comes along for the nth amount of times this year, and we just know that person does just this class. Do we ever actively reach out to them and say, hey, have you considered doing the class that precedes or the class that follows? Because actually the timetable is set up in a way that complements that class as well. So if you are doing, let's say you come in doing musical theatre class, well, actually straight afterwards is modern for the same age group. And because musical theatre's got a lot of dancing in it, the modern class is really going to help you build those skills, and those two classes will start to complement each other. And that also means that now the student is visiting for an hour and a half, 2 hours, versus just being here for one class. So now mum, dad, parent, guardian, whoever it is that's dropping off, has now got more time to maybe actually get home and do something, or head over and do a food shop, rather than feeling like, oh, the class is only 45 minutes, so I may as well hang around in the car park for a bit. So opportunities to sell complementing classes, absolutely look for them. And a little tip, it says at the bottom here, there is a great report in Class Manager. It's in reports, and I believe it's under student, and then in that drop down we have list of classes, which will basically filter by season. So make sure that you choose your most relevant season, and it will give you a list of every student and the classes that they do. And that's something we should be doing at least every couple of months, is to look and go, right, who are my once a weekers, what class are they doing, and what class would complement that in a really convenient way, that they will be highly likely to take it up. And if you don't have any of those opportunities, it may even guide your timetabling decisions, because you could see, actually, there's got a lot of kids here that come and do just acro. What could I put before or after in the next timetable iteration to make it more likely that those people are going to go, actually, you know what, I will come 45 minutes early and do the conditioning class that's now been put on, or I will stay and do the stretching class that's after acro. And then when we have those sorts of things, there's also opportunities to put packages together where we can say, if you do these 3 classes, then you get a preferential rate. But I'm going off my notes here, so let's not talk about that. And then just heading back to additional relevant uniform and merch. And when I say relevant, I mean because if you are going to upsell, let's say, a tap class, that's going to come with tap shoes. So there's always opportunities to then take that upselling a little bit further. Obviously, don't sell it too hard, don't sell it too fast, but make sure that ultimately, at the end of the day, it does get sold, because you'll really see the benefits in the long run. And then performance opportunities, as we mentioned, anywhere that you can be selling tickets will usually come with a couple of extra rehearsals. This, from an outside perspective, might sound quite sneaky, but as long as you are transparent with all of these costs and things beforehand, absolutely fine. We're going to do a show. Here's the date. The tickets will cost this. If you're going to sign up for the show, you also have to come to this extra rehearsal, and that's going to cost this much. And here's the date and here's the time. If you can give everybody that informed information beforehand, absolutely no problem with the morality of it, of upselling a performance opportunity because of the extra costs that will come with the rehearsal. The time where you may get a bit of backlash from parents is if you go, surprise, the rehearsal's going to cost £30 and the tickets are £20 each as well. So make sure everything is an informed decision beforehand, and then you'll just fly through it. I think you'll be surprised how many people who usually moan about money will be quite happy to sign up for the extra thing, because it's just human nature, isn't it? We all like to complain about something, and we all spend money on things, so naturally money is one of the topics that people like to stand around in reception and complain about. Thankfully, it doesn't happen at our place too much anymore, but I have experienced it in the past. And then lastly on this one is selling convenience in any form. Now, you're going to have to be a little bit more imaginative than me here, because I know that there is lots of opportunities out there. The only one that came to me this morning was if you're selling upselling, such as what's the words for your performance, like makeup kits. So you've decided we're all going to have this colour. It's a bloke talking about makeup. This is why I'm struggling. We're going to decide this is the colour eyeshadow that you're having, and we're all going to use this colour on lips or whatever, just so they don't look so washed out under the stage lights. instead of sending a person, here's these 4 items that you need to go and get from these 4 different makeup shops, or ideally just one, we could say, well, actually, here's what we need, and we've gone ahead and arranged it for you. Here's a pack that's got everything that you need in it. That gives you an opportunity to add a markup for your time and offering them convenience. But also, if you are going to be the person procuring all those items, you can often speak to the supplier and have a little bit of an economy of scale. You could get a bulk buy discount. So rather than everyone going and spending £8 on an item, you might get them at £6 per person. You still sell them for £7. They're getting £1 off and you're making £1. Simple things like that, as a way of selling convenience in any form and just adding an opportunity to put your markup on that still saves them some money. And then just some questions on here. Have you got your Class Manager store enabled? A lot of people are still not using the Class Manager store to its fullest. It's a great little thing to have turned on, so definitely explore that if you've not already. And then this is one that was hard for me to get to grips with. As I said, I used to be the guy that would just give away free training sessions because why not? But is your time factored in to the extra work that you do? So when you are sorting out costumes, makeup, rehearsals, anything like that, look at the time that you are taking and make sure it is factored in. A real common one, and this is probably going to make a few people go, yes, oh my God, I know. Competition entries, so much admin required, back and forth communication, dealing with music and playlists and entering and communication with the events. You will spend hours and hours and hours doing that. So make sure when the price comes through, as it goes out to customers, your time is factored into that. Personally, you can tell them a little bit about that one, can't you? So then, raising money for your company. Something, again, recently I had to just get over myself about was the idea that actually it's okay. It doesn't matter that we aren't a charity. We aren't giving out dance lessons for free. We are a small for-profit business like many others. But then, why is it okay for Coca-Cola to sponsor the football or McDonald's to sponsor the football or vice versa? You know, great big entities that make plenty of their own money and plenty of their own profit sponsoring each other. So more recently, I've been a bit more bold about saying, hey, we do this thing, it's in this place, here's the audience that we attract. If you want to get your product or service in front of my audience, let's come to an agreement on whether it's a service or a product they provide for free in return for the exposure or the cross promotion, or whether it's just simply a cash contribution to your business. Something, actually, if we have any of our US audience listening in, I was absolutely blown away to learn that it's possible to sponsor routines. Yeah, I know. Kind of made me go, huh, never thought about that. So we're speaking to somebody at one of the events that we went to, and they had their dinky dancers were doing a dance to a song from a kids' TV show, and it was all about brushing your teeth. So they actually got a local dentist to sponsor the costumes and the competition entries, and in return, everywhere that competition went, it was named in a way that was then sponsored by dental practice. And I have never done that, but I am absolutely looking for opportunities to get a local company to sponsor a routine or a competition. Or imagine you could say to one of your troops, hey guys, don't worry about this costume, it's been covered because it's been sponsored. That would be absolutely just great for the community, but also good to work together with other businesses. So another story that wasn't on my notes, sorry. Basic stuff like selling squares, I know they're really popular. They're great because they will just last until they are filled, and there's always a guaranteed return for the winner. So there might be, 100 squares, it's £5 each, the winner gets £200, do the maths, there's 300 left for the studio to invest in, whether it's new equipment or maintenance costs or travel costs towards an event, whatever it is that you need to raise money for, it's absolutely okay to do so. Similarly for raffles are always great. We could get some donations together, whether it's a raffle for a big hamper and winner takes all, or it's individual items. Every time you do an event or anything that's got the public coming in, definitely get some raffle tickets sold. And then similarly into events that happen outside of the studio, it was only this year that I learned what a race night was, because I thought it was actually going to the horses or the dogs or wherever you go. But no, race nights is where they just watch pre-recorded races and they bet on them, and it's to raise money. And it was, I still can't believe that's what people do. But it's fantastic. We've had one recently organised by one of our sort of dance mums, who also volunteers for a netball crew, and she tells me, yeah, they make about £1,000 each time they do one, and they do one once a year. So straight away, if you need new mats, new equipment, new lights, new speakers, and you're thinking, oh my gosh, the business is really going to struggle to afford this, be absolutely transparent about it. Hey guys, we're doing a race night to raise money for new equipment for the kids. No problem doing it. If people have got a problem with making a donation, guess what? They won't do it. But I think you'll be surprised at how many people are happy to get involved, chuck a few pounds or dollars or euros at what they perceive to be a good cause. It's going to help a small business and help the kids have better opportunities to train and to practice. And then similarly, we go into things like a studio movie evening, where if you can procure or rent a projector, and we can turn that into a movie theatre, bring a beanbag, sell popcorn, order pizzas, just £5 on the door, a fun way of doing something that's not another dance workshop, which obviously are also great ways to make a bit of extra revenue in downtime. And then black tie evening, another similar suggestion to a movie night. Whether you do that at your own studio, is there a way that you can convert it so that it looks like a nice fancy venue? Could we get some tables, put up some black fabric? You know, there's lots of ways that we can make a space a bit more interesting. Or maybe there's somewhere near you that just has a nice venue and can cater. And then again, we could run a black tie evening to get some money raised. As I said at the beginning, just outright asking for donations and sponsorships. Just be really transparent and also weigh up what the benefit is to the person who is going to be giving that donation in return for your payment of X, Y, Z, however much you want to break it out as. Then we will promote your product and service in these various ways. Are you maybe going to give somebody a goodie bag on each of the each of the stalls in the theatre, so that when they arrive they go, oh, look at this, it's an advertisement with some sweets and bits in return for that payment. You can be really imaginative with it. I'd love to actually know if you've got some ideas. Please do share them with the community. And then similarly, hosting other people's products. So if you have a space in your venue or at an event to put a stall together for somebody else, whether it's a local bakery wants to sell cakes, a local photographer wants to sell photo opportunities, just have the agreement. Flowers also do really well. Just have the agreement that any sales that you make through this connection, we have an agreed commission. So it's not just that you're connecting a person with your audience for them to make money off it. It's also going to be shared with you for making that introduction as a bit of a commission. Okay, I hope you get the reference on this one. If not, this is Syndrome, the bad guy from Incredibles, and his famous line, when everyone is considered special, no one is special. And I'm bringing that up in reference to free, because when something is always free, it's not special. It's taken for granted. And I had this realization a couple of years ago now with trials. I think we all get there at our own point. A lot of the big mentors out there will also tell you, get rid of your free trials, scrap your free trials. When trials are free, a person has got no skin in the game, they've got no investment at all. It's just an easy night off. Let's book a few trials, drop the kid off, I'll go to the food shop, pick her up, probably never go back again. It's just a way of filtering out some of those people. And also it signposts that you're a serious business, what you offer has a value, because a free trial sets the precedent that it's okay for me to attend for free. And even though they know that it's only a trial, there's still that in the back of their mind that says, well, they can give free trials away. So the idea that we could get rid of anything that is free, for example, trials is a prime one, let's stick with that. Then when there is a cost, we can make it special when there then temporarily isn't a cost. So again, with trials, let's say we're going to do free trials for Acro for November only. Now, previously those things had a cost, but even then before, if they were always free, you had no opportunity to shout about it, because if you were shouting about your free trials, going, woo, free trial, well, it's always free. So why are you shouting about it? But now a trial is paid for when it is temporarily free. Now we have a legitimate reason to generate some real excitement and go, for this week or for this month only, trials in this class or this genre or this day, wherever you want to divide it up, they are free for a limited time only. We have a little bit of scarcity, get a little bit of FOMO, create a bit of excitement, and then see a few more bookings hopefully come in that are there because the person has responded to that excitement, rather than just, oh yeah, well, it's always free, so I'll just book one now then. So that's my 2 cents on free trials. We got rid of them, like I say, a little while ago, and saw absolutely no downward tick in number of trials booked. And generally the people that do come through are quite good prospects. So if you're still doing free trials and you've heard it a million times, and this is me saying 1,000,001, as I said at the beginning, I hope this is what ticks you over to just going, yeah, you know what, it's time to get rid of free trials, because there's no value to you. It doesn't make a person more likely to try or more likely to join. It just sets the message that actually it's just a dance class and it's okay for it to be free when you are worth more than free. So, nearly towards the end. How are we doing for time? Just over half an hour. Okay, so understanding time is money, money is time, and time is money, and it forms a circle. I should have made a circle, that would have been better. As I mentioned at the beginning, I'm less of now, the family money warrior. I was the person that didn't want to spend anything on anything. I didn't want to pay for a subscription, monthly or annual. No, don't want it. If there was a card fee, no, don't want it. Can't. We'll just do the work ourselves. It's fine. Oh God, how I wish I'd made the change earlier. So a bit of a quote here. Outsourcing and automating low-level tasks is the best money you'll spend, providing that you're using the reclaimed time effectively. Now, if your reclaimed time from outsourcing a task is walking your dog, or reading a book, or cleaning the bathroom, or just going out for a coffee, that's fine, because that's regenerating and recharging and rejuvenating you. That is an effective use of your time. If you need that, it's really important that if we're going to outsource and automate a task, we're not just then because that's not an effective use of your time. We want to free up time so that you can do the things that drive your business forward. I'm going to butcher the saying, but I think it's something like, we have to spend less time working in our business and more time working on our business. And what I mean by that is, and I can speak from experience, how many hours a week do you spend looking through your bank statement and marking off payments, or looking for a late payment that still isn't there because you just want to check that it's not been sent in the last few minutes before you send the third overdue reminder? Never again. So looking for opportunities to outsource and automate tasks, whether it's through Class Manager, we've got some great automations that you should have turned on, automated follow-ups after a trial, automated confirmations, billing reminders before, do and after if bills aren't paid on time, welcome emails when a person creates an account, and other things, such as Zapier. I'm one of those people. I looked at the cost and I was like, oh no, I'm not paying that. Absolutely love the level of automation that you can get in things like Zapier, and it does save time and therefore brain space for you to work on other things and send things forward. Similarly, if there's not a system, is there a person? Is there somebody who you trust who's maybe not even part of the business yet, but they could do with a couple of hours work, or it's a parent who will work for a couple of classes off their bill? I'd recommend maybe doing it the more formal way with a wage rather than time for classes, but do what works best for you. And is that a job that you trust somebody to do that's just going to make you go, oh, you know what, actually, I've never got to worry about that again? Somebody else can handle uniform orders and restocking the tights and the shoes and the leotards in the cupboard. Completely out of your mind, never got to worry about it again. Are there opportunities for you to automate and outsource those kinds of things? And then at the bottom there, are your class manager automations on? What other systems could you be using effectively? And who's working for you, who's not a teacher? One big thing that has saved me a lot of time lately is using things like AIs and chat GTPs. When you need to create something or respond to an email and you just kind of sit there and get blank page syndrome and don't know what to say. I know it's not exactly automated or outsourcing, but just bringing in those kind of tools when you sat with a really awkward email and say, actually, you know what, help me respond to this in a positive and constructive manner, and it will just give you some base to go at. So little tip there, ChatGTP is going to be your best email answering friend. And obviously, write your own reply, humanize it. Don't just copy and paste what the AI says, because more than likely it's got some cringe words in there. But it's a good thing to help you get over blank page syndrome if you are anything like me. So we're nearly there. Price structure. And again, this is coming from the heart and from years of experience and from speaking to friends who run their own dance schools locally, because a lot of us around here, but we all get on with each other, which is nice. And through Class Manager and other events, been privileged to meet people who run small businesses like this, or even large businesses that are service facing, and all of us fear increasing our prices, but our businesses and ourselves are subjected to them constantly, it feels like. E will send you a text and say that your phone bill's gone up. Sky Broadband will send you an email and say that your contract's going up mid-contract, even though they promised it wouldn't. Your utility provider will just put the prices up and tell you, hey, you're now paying this much for gas and electric, sorry about that. Council tax, all those things constantly go up. But we are so scared of putting up our price because we imagine that if we put 25p on the cost of a class, people are going to up and leave in droves, and it's not going to happen. We've been doing this long enough now and had a few price increases over the time and never ever had to have the problem. They are becoming a little bit more frequent. They are keeping up with the times. It's just the way it is. You can't not increase your prices as time goes on, because your profit margin will get smaller and smaller and smaller. And a lot of us, as I said at the beginning, are quite happy with the idea of just covering the rent, and it can't go on like that. You put too much hard work, time, effort, energy, passion, out of hours work into your small business, I know you do, to then come away with a minuscule profit margin. At the end of the day, if you're doing a good job and people love what you're doing, they will pay you for it, and people will let you know that prices are painful long before they decide to just walk out the door. There will always be rumblings and communications around price. Generally speaking, a lot of us charge far too little. We did, a couple of years ago, we did a mystery shop of a lot of schools around us, but also schools a bit further afield, people who we know through maybe we attend the same competitions that they do. And yeah, really, really shocked to see that we'd quite low down on the pricing marker. So that went up. We're now sort of on par in the middle of the field for what people in our area in our sort of demographic charge. Absolutely no grumbling, and it was quite a decent jump for us to catch up. So don't be me. Don't be the person who is afraid to put prices up and the guy that says, oh no, let's put it up in January, let's leave it till September instead. Don't be that person, because the only person that's going to suffer from it is you at the end of the day. And then when it comes to making sure that your prices are on the level that you're in the range, you're not the cheapest, but you're not too expensive either. If you do need to catch up to that point, you do not need to explain or apologize, because again, here I am, the person who would want to write a huge email, really sorry everybody, prices haven't gone up in 6 years, but it's time, and the reason for this is yada yada yada. No. The price from this date is now. Boop. That's all it needs to be. Don't apologize, don't explain, don't present that target. Charge what you need to charge to keep your business running and to give you the reward that you deserve for the work that you do. And then we've got some random stuff here that I want to finish off on before we go into the sort of hidden opportunity when we charge monthly. And there's two things here, the chip shop story and the discount myth. So the chip shop story is something I have absolutely stolen from a book by Nigel Botterill. It's a white one and it's called, I don't know where it's gone. I think it's called It's All Changed, or It All Changes. It's something like that. And in this story, in this book, Nigel compares two chip shops who are both sort of neck and neck rooting for more business. So one of them says, I'm going to do a discount for anybody that spends more than a tenner, because the average spend at each chip shop was currently £9. So they're trying to get that average spend up to a tenner. So they says, right, anyone who spends more than £10 gets a 10% discount. So what happens straight away is when someone goes over that, spends £10, they then have the discount applied. So they get £1 off, they're getting £9 in again. Their discount has effectively wiped out that extra spend. Similarly, if a person comes along and spends £20, they're now getting £2 off their order, because that discount, that scaling discount, grows with the amount the customer spends. Now the next chip shop, who also had an average of £9 spend, they went down a different method and said, okay, if a customer spends more than a tenner, we'll give them a free drink. Now, as we know from talking about selling refreshments earlier on, you can go to Costco, you can buy a crate of drinks, they'll wholesale for X amount, and they'll retail for more. So the moral of that one is, as a person then spends over and over and over that £10 limit, the value and the cost of the free drink that they get for doing it stays the same. So let's say the drink costs the business 50p in a multi-pack. The other business has now got a scaling loss because that percentage-based discount grows and grows and grows. But the customers on both sides are going, oh, great, if I spend more than £10, I get a benefit, I get a bonus, I get a reward. Now, a very analytical customer could sit back and go, oh yeah, well, it's actually better if I get the discount because the discount grows, whereas the bottle of Coke is only worth what a bottle of Coke is worth. But the idea of being able to give something back for spending more, it's still ticking that box for the customer to incentivize them to spend more, but the business retains more of the benefit. So when we come to talking about prices and discounts, absolutely make sure that you've considered either capping your discount, which you can do in Class Manager when you're offering percentage-based discount, or you offer a fixed discount so that you aren't going to lose out too much for the customer that says, yeah, you know what, I can afford to do 20 lessons a week and this is what I want to do. You'd want to be making sure that you make good money from that customer because they're clearly a big spender, rather than handing half of it back in over generous discounts. And then the discount myth is looking at it from the other side, is looking at it from the customer side, and that is that when we see, whether it's a coat or a pair of shoes or a bag or anything in shops, and you'll see, it'll say $9.99 with a big red line through it, and then now £45. It was never worth $9.99. It was never worth nearly 200 quid. But it's just that myth to make you go, oh, gosh, isn't this a good deal? So we can play that game too. When it comes down to if you absolutely want to add a discount, you want to make people see, I'm giving you something back for being extra loyal customers and for doing more lessons or whichever it may be, then make sure that your base price is actually a little bit higher than where you'd want it to be. And the reason that that's absolutely okay to do is because the people that maybe do, let's say we're in a three class discount, the people that do 1 and 2 classes, they're going to be okay paying a little bit more because they're not doing as many classes, so that price isn't multiplied out by 8, 9, 10 lessons a week. But then the person who does qualify for the discount, they will get that discount, but it's bringing them down to the price that you actually want to pay, not below it. So your discounts should always bring it down from a slightly larger price to what you actually want to pay, rather than having what you want your customers to pay and your discount coming below it. So that's just one way that we can make sure that we are benefiting from the discount myth, rather than always being the people in the shops paying £45 for a pair of trainers that was supposed to be worth 200 and never ever was. So, getting towards the end, this is just for people who are charging termly and half termly, because we have these conversations a lot. I see it on Facebook, on groups, and also in the conversations that we have one-to-one here in Class Manager as well. So this is just a quick explainer of if we charge every half term, the customer is going to get a bill for £30 to £35 for a 6 or 7 week term if they're doing one class a week at a value of £5 a class. I'm using easy numbers for myself here. And then for every term, depending on the length of the term, it could be £60 to £70. That might need to be 60 to 65 actually. But anyway, they're going to see bigger, less frequent bills. Now, if we went monthly and we broke down, let's say we're open for, I think in this example I used 38 weeks a year. If we went for 38 weeks a year at £5 a class and then divided that by 12 monthly payments, we get £17.20. I would always recommend rounding up to the nearest nice number. Please don't be those people that charge and 16p for a class. Just round it up. Now, the hidden opportunity is right in front of us because these numbers are actually lying. And what we did here was put a price increase in as we transferred to monthly payments. Now, absolutely be transparent with this. I am not telling anybody to sneak their prices up and lie about it, because you absolutely must announce if a price is increasing. It's just very good business practice. Otherwise, you're going to have your Facebook comments and your email inbox going, hang on a minute, I thought classes used to be X, Y, and Z, and now they cost this. But it just needs to be that one unapologetic, not explaining, here is the line of what our new prices are. But if you are looking to change from termly or half termly to monthly, we can see there is an opportunity there to put your price up, but not to increase the perceived pain from your customer. Because if we just go back to these numbers, I told you a second ago that this is for classes that were £5 a lesson. Straight away, I think a lot of you would have gone, I'd rather pay £17.20 a month than pay, chunks of £70 that don't align with paydays. That's another hidden benefit to monthly, is people will perceive the cost as being less painful because it's going to fall in line with when they get paid, rather than going, I need to keep some money back because dance is going to come out and it's a 13-week term this time. Doesn't need to happen that way. So just a real simple illustration that actually we can put the price up. What I did here in this, can you see my mouse? Does my mouse show up? I think it does. So the £5 class became £5.43 because what we did was put in a 30p per class price increase, and then also factored in the 2.5% for your Stripe and Class Manager platform charges. So that's a way that we can make sure that we're accounting for those fees and including them as a business expense. I know a lot of times people ask about things like Stripe fees and go, should I add it on as a separate invoice item, or should I mention to people that there's a fee? I would argue absolutely not. It's a bit like if your gym membership came through and said it's £28, but we're also charging you £8 towards gas and electric and £50 towards the chance that you might use some loo roll while you're here. Your credit card fees, anything like that, they are just another business expense to get rolled into the cost of your class. We don't do an itemised breakdown for 19p per hour goes towards electricity, and this much goes towards the teacher, and this much goes towards restocking the fridge. All of those things are costs that your classes have to cover, and we don't need to itemise that cost. It just creates a lot more work for you. So I would absolutely recommend just to factor it in and bake it in. Every time you sell something and you know that people are going to pay by Stripe, when you are deciding the sale cost, which ultimately is yours to decide, you can charge whatever you want for your products and services. The last step I will always take is to times it by 1.025, which is my way of adding the equivalent value of a card transaction, so that I know that that's then covered. And then usually we'll round it up to the nearest 25p or cents, just so it's a nice round number. But that nearly an hour. Oh my gosh, if you made it all the way to the end, thank you. Please let me know what you found useful or helpful. Are some of these tips things that you are already doing? Are they things that you have been told to do but haven't quite implemented them yet? Or are some of these things that you just outright disagree with? I am absolutely willing to engage in some positive criticism if anyone thinks that I am off my rocker with any of this advice. But as I said, we've done this for nearly 15 years now, and I've been very privileged to speak to people who have ran businesses for as long as I've been alive, or even longer, or less time, and from around the world. So it's been really good to sort of get those ideas from people, find out what works, what doesn't. And this was just sort of skim some ideas. So I hope you found them helpful. And I'm going to stop waffling. Let me know how you found it, and if you implement any of these things, I would love to see the outcome, as time goes on. So stay in touch. Thank you guys. Bye bye.